Diamonds aren't rare. In fact, they're one of the most common gemstones on Earth. And yet, for over a century, people spent 2 months of their salary on one because a single company convinced the entire planet otherwise. This isn't a story about jewelry. It's a story about how one company manufactured desire on a global scale, controlled an entire industry from the mind to your finger, and then watched the truth quietly unravel everything they built. This is the story of De Beers. In 1871, prospectors discovered diamonds buried in volcanic rock near Kimberley, South Africa. Word spread fast, and thousands of independent miners rushed in, each digging their own claim, each selling wherever and however they could. For a few chaotic years, the market did exactly what an unregulated market does when a resource isn't actually scarce. Prices collapsed. Diamonds, geologically speaking, are not rare. They're a common result of carbon under pressure. Left alone, the free market would have made them nearly worthless. One man, Cecil Rhodes, saw this not as a mining problem, but as a marketing problem. Gold holds value because it's genuinely limited. Diamonds don't hold that same natural limit. So if diamonds were going to be valuable, someone would have to manufacture the scarcity by hand. Rhodes didn't build his empire by outdigging his rivals. He built it by buying them. Through most of the 1880s, Rhodes fought a slow, grinding war against his fiercest competitor, Barney Barnato, a former London music hall performer who'd arrived in Kimberley with barely more than a box of cheap cigars and built the rival Kimberley Central Diamond Mining Company into an empire of his own. By 1885, Barnato's income had reached roughly 4 times Rhodes's own. For years, neither man could dislodge the other. Then, in 1887, Rhodes made his move. He secured a massive loan from the Rothschild banking house in London and used it to quietly buy up shares in Barnato's company on the open market, then through private deals, driving the price higher with every purchase. Barnato fought back, spending heavily to defend his position. But Rhodes had something Barnato didn't: unlimited outside capital and no intention of stopping. According to company law, Rhodes finally slid the merger contract across the table and told him simply, sign, and it's all yours. Silicon Canal's South African history online Barnato signed. Rhodes paid out over £5 million for control of Kimberley Central, a staggering sum for 1888. And on March 12th of that year, the two rival empires became one. De Beers consolidated mines. Barnato walked away wealthy, a life governor of the new company and a member of parliament. 9 years later, he would jump from the deck of a ship bound for London and drown in the Atlantic, the same ocean his diamonds had made rich men cross for a generation. Within a year of the merger, De Beers consolidated, controlled an estimated 95% of the world's diamond production. A single company, run by a handful of men, now decided what a diamond was worth everywhere on Earth. Rhodes built the monopoly, but it was the Oppenheimer family who seized control of De Beers in 1929, turned that monopoly into a machine. Under Ernest Oppenheimer, De Beers didn't just own the mines. It built a system to control everything that happened after the diamonds came out of the ground. Uncut stones were funneled into vast warehouses and deliberately withheld from the market. When demand rose, the company didn't sell more. It sold less, releasing diamonds in tightly controlled batches to keep prices climbing. Access to those diamonds ran through a small invitation-only circle of buyers known as sightholders. A few hundred companies worldwide, handpicked by De Beers itself, permitted to purchase rough stones at prices the company alone set. There was no bidding, no negotiation, no open exchange anywhere on Earth where a diamond's price was determined by anything other than De Beers' decision that morning. By the mid-20th century, a company that had started as 2 rival claims on a single South African hillside controlled between 80 and 90% of the entire world's diamond supply, and effectively the price of love itself. Controlling the supply was only half the strategy. The other half was controlling what people believed a diamond meant. In 1947, De Beers' advertising agency introduced 4 words that would go on to generate one of the most successful marketing campaigns in history: a diamond is forever. Before this campaign, diamond engagement rings weren't even the standard. In several major markets, Japan among them, diamond rings for engagements were essentially unheard of before De Beers ran targeted advertising campaigns there decades later. The tradition wasn't ancient. It was manufactured deliberately inside a marketing department, and the company didn't stop at suggesting people buy a diamond, told them how much to spend. Depression-era advertising copy suggested a man spend roughly 1 month's salary on an engagement ring. By the 1960s and into the 1980s, that benchmark had doubled to roughly 2 months' salary in the United States, and reportedly pushed even higher to around 3 months in some markets like Japan. None of these numbers reflected what the diamond was actually worth on resale, which was, and still is, close to zero. zero. They reflected the size of the buyer's paycheck. That was the only number the campaign could actually influence. There was one more piece De Beers had to protect: the second-hand market. If people ever started reselling their diamonds in large numbers, the illusion of scarcity would collapse instantly. So the company reinforced another idea, quietly but persistently. The diamonds simply don't hold resale value. Not because that was strictly true, but because it eliminated the one force that could have exposed the entire scheme: a flood of used diamonds, proving how replaceable they actually were. If a 100-year-old marketing trick can convince the whole world that glass is gold, imagine what other industries are running the same playbook right now. That's exactly what this channel breaks down every week. If you want to see through the next one before everyone else does, hit subscribe. It genuinely helps more of these stories reach people who want to see them. For decades, the cartel held. When the Soviet Union began producing diamonds independently in the 1950s, threatening to flood the market and collapse prices, De Beers simply absorbed that supply too, through direct purchase agreements, protecting the illusion once again. But by the 1990s, cracks were forming. New diamond deposits outside Africa, particularly in Canada and Russia, meant De Beers' market share slipped to roughly half of global supply, down from its historic peak, near 90%. For the first time, a company that had spent a century managing supply had to shift its entire strategy toward managing demand instead. Then came the development De Beers could never fully control: lab-grown diamonds. Chemically identical to natural stones, often impossible to distinguish without specialized equipment, lab-grown diamonds exposed the one fact the entire empire was built on hiding. Without artificially engineered scarcity, diamond is genuinely inexpensive to produce. By 2026, the company that had spent 130 years convincing the world a diamond attains its value, forever sold for less than the cost of building a single new mine shaft. An empire built on manufactured scarcity was ultimately undone by manufactured supply. The real story of De Beers isn't really about diamonds. It's about how easily scarcity can be manufactured, and how long people will believe a story once it's tied to love, status, or fear of missing out. Somewhere right now, another industry is running a version of the exact same playbook. If you want to know which one, see through it before everyone else does, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. It takes 5 seconds, and it's genuinely the reason this channel can keep making videos like this one. Thanks for watching.